feel like I got to call you out a little here. I mean, you were still around when this shift happened. I mean, you were in those meetings, right? Do you feel responsible, at least in part, for the Strip taking a nosedive?
Yeah, fair question. Look, it's not like I woke up one day and said, let's kill Vegas, but yeah, I was in the room. I signed off on some of those changes. I can't deny that.
So you're saying you were complicit?
I mean, yeah. If I'm being honest, yeah. But if I didn't play along, I'd have been replaced by someone who would have. It was adapt or get out. That's the ugly truth.
You realize some people watching this are probably going to say, you guys ruined Vegas. All right, so today is going to be a little different. I'm sitting down with someone I've actually known for quite a while, a recently retired casino executive from the Las Vegas Strip. Now, out of respect, I'm not naming names, but let's just say he's been in the room for some of the biggest decisions that shaped the Strip over the last 20 years. He's not with the company anymore, so he can finally speak freely. And I'll be honest, a lot of the things we're about to talk about, you don't normally hear from the people at the top. We're going to dig into why prices are skyrocketing, why it feels like Vegas doesn't care about the average visitor anymore, and what he thinks the future of the Strip really looks like. I apologize in advance if the audio feels a bit choppy or echoey here and there. I'm good about setting up the audio for myself, but this is the first time I've done a multi-mic setup. I think it turned out pretty good, though. As always, I'll put up some B-roll of our favorite desert oasis in the background for you to enjoy while you listen to this conversation. Buckle up, this interview did get a bit intense at times. So, let's get into it. All right, so you and I have known each other for a long time, and for the people watching or listening, you're recently retired. But you spent, what, over a decade in executive offices right here on the Strip?
Yeah, 14 years, which in casino years is basically like a lifetime.
Yeah, and in that time, you watched a lot of changes happen. And I mean, I got to be straight with you. I've been coming to Vegas since I was young, and I feel like the Strip's not the same. People say the magic is gone. You agree with that?
Oh, 100%. The Strip I started on is not the Strip you see today. Back then, it was about creating an experience. Now, it's about extracting every dollar they can out of you.
So let's paint the picture. What was Vegas like when you first came in?
The goal was make everyone feel like a VIP. You could have $200 in your pocket and still feel like Sinatra. Cheap buffets, free drinks, free parking. Hell, sometimes they'd comp you a room just to keep you in the building. The execs back then understood that if you felt like a king, you'd spend like one.
Yeah. My dad used to brag about those $5 prime rib dinners.
Exactly. They lost money on that steak, but they made it back when he sat down at the blackjack table. That was the model.
So when did that start to change?
Honestly, when the Wall Street guys came in, hedge funds, private equity, they didn't care about the romance of Vegas. To them, it was just numbers. What's the revenue per square foot? What's the margin per customer? That's when all the nickel and dime stuff came in. Resort fees, parking fees, jacking up drink prices.
Okay, so I feel like I got to call you out a little here. I mean, you were still around when this shift happened. I mean, you were in those meetings, right? Do you feel responsible, at least in part, for the Strip taking a nosedive?
Yeah, fair question. Look, it's not like I woke up one day and said, let's kill Vegas, but yeah, I was in the room. I signed off on some of those changes. I can't deny that.
So walk me through that. What was it like when, say, resort fees were first pitched?
Oh man, I remember that meeting. Some consultant comes in with charts saying, if we tack on a $25 per night fee, we'll add X million dollars in revenue. A lot of us thought, no way, guess we'll revolt. But the corporate guys said, test it, and guess what? People paid. And once they paid, that was it. Every property copied it.
And you signed off on that?
Yeah, and I justified it to myself by saying, well, we need the revenue, gambling isn't what it used to be, but deep down, I knew it was the beginning of the end of that old Vegas vibe.
So you're saying you were complicit?
I mean, yeah. If I'm being honest, yeah. But if I didn't play along, I'd have been replaced by someone who would have. It was adapt or get out. That's the ugly truth.
That's heavy, man. You realize some people watching this are probably going to say, you guys ruined Vegas.
They wouldn't be wrong. I carry some of that guilt. But I also know it wasn't just me. It was an entire system, an entire culture shift. One exec can't stop that tidal wave.
Hey, hope you're enjoying the interview so far. A reminder to be respectful toward our guest. I can already hear some of you typing away in the comments about how guys like this are responsible for blah, blah, blah. Look, I totally get it. But if I want to do this interview thing again with even higher up people in the future, I can't have them come in and be terrified or afraid because the previous guy got roasted too hard in the comments. Regardless, I'm all about free speech, so I can't stop you anyway. Criticism is perfectly okay, but please, try to keep it respectful, guys. Anyhow, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing for all things Vegas. Let's get back to the interview. Okay, so let's get into some of the real behind-the-scenes stuff. You were in those rooms, you heard the conversations. What's one moment that really made you think, oh, things are changing, and not for the better?
There's a few, but the first one that comes to mind is when we rolled out paid parking.
Yeah, that one still pisses people off.
Trust me, it pissed us off too, at least the old school guys. I remember sitting in this conference room and a couple of the veteran execs, guys who've been around since the 80s, were flat out saying, this is suicide. Vegas was built on free parking. You don't mess with that. Like, yeah, they're right. I mean, free parking was sacred. But then corporate rolls in with a PowerPoint, charts, projections, all that Wall Street stuff. They're like, we'll make $30 million extra per year across the properties. People might complain, but they'll pay.
And?
They were right. They were right. And the kicker, after the first quarter, when the revenue reports came in, those same veteran execs who swore it'd never work, they just kind of went quiet because the money was too good. Once that hit the books, every other casino followed.
So that was like a domino effect.
Exactly. One property did it, it worked, and boom. Within a year, the entire strip was charging. That was the moment I thought, okay, we've officially crossed into new territory.
That's brutal. Any stories about food or drinks? Because that's another one I hear a lot. People saying, man, I used to eat like a king for $10. Now it's $50 for a buffet.
Oh, yeah. I remember when they decided to kill the cheap buffets. That was another heated debate. Old-timers were like, the $9.99 buffet is a Vegas tradition. People come here for that. And the new school was like, why are we losing money on food? Raise it to $29.99.
And the argument was the same, right? People will complain, but they'll still pay.
Bingo. And they were right again. That's the part that still bugs me. Every time we tested the limits, the public proved us right, which just encouraged corporate to push even harder.
So you're saying we, the customers, kind of trained the casinos to rip us off?
I mean, you said it, not me. But yeah, in a way, as long as people kept coming, there was no incentive to pull back. Look, I came into the business because I love the Vegas experience. That feeling of walking into a casino and knowing, even if you only had $100 in your pocket, you were going to be treated like royalty. That was the magic. It wasn't about making them feel special anymore. It was about seeing how far we could push them before they broke. And once you start thinking like that, that's a different Vegas. I remember thinking, we're still making money, but it's not the same kind of money. Before, when someone lost $200 at the slots, they didn't mind because they'd gotten free drinks, a cheap steak, maybe a comped room. They felt like they got value. After the changes, they lost $200, and on top of that, they had to pay $25 to park and $50 for a buffet. That leaves a bitter taste.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like fun money anymore. It feels like getting ripped off.
Exactly. And that's when I thought, we're killing the goose that laid the golden egg. Vegas was built on this idea that you give a little to get a lot back. We flipped that formula.
So in your mind, that was the turning point.
Yeah. That's the night I said to myself, Vegas will never be the same city again, because once corporate sees they can get away with something, they never go back. There's no reverse gear.
You sound almost guilty when you talk about it.
I am a little, because I didn't fight it. I played along. And yeah, part of me knew it was wrong, but another part said, well, the guests aren't walking away. They're still smiling. They're still playing. And that's the tragedy, right? They didn't realize what was happening, but we did.
So you're saying people were partying, celebrating, thinking they were getting the old Vegas, but behind the curtain it was already over.
That's exactly it. Vegas was on life support, and nobody knew it.
So let's shift gears a little. Something that blows my mind, and I hear this from viewers all the time, is that the Strip looks emptier than ever. You walk through on a weekday, and it's like a ghost town compared to what it used to be. But then you look at the numbers, and somehow revenue is up. Fewer people, but more money. How does that work? Is that just Vegas leaning harder into high rollers?
Yeah, you nailed it. And let me preface this. I've been retired for a little while now. I don't sit in those boardrooms anymore. But I still talk to old colleagues, guys and gals who are still up there in the C-suites. And it's the same story. Fewer, but richer. Back in the day, we measured success by heads and beds. You wanted every hotel full, every casino floor packed, even if half the people were playing nickel slots and eating at the buffet. Volume was king. But now, the strategy shifted. They realized they could make more money off fewer guests by squeezing harder. Higher room rates, higher minimums, higher drink prices, more fees. Instead of 100 people spending $200, they'd rather have 40 people spending $600.
That's wild, though, because it feels like it goes against the DNA of Vegas. It used to be a place where literally anyone could come and feel like they belonged. Now it feels like only a certain kind of traveler is welcome.
That's exactly it. The philosophy changed from accessible fun for everyone to premium destination for the few. They want that international high roller crowd, the conventions, the guys dropping $50K in a weekend. And sure, the balance sheets look good, but the Strip feels dead because you lose the energy that comes from the masses. Here's something people don't always realize. When you pack the Strip with average folks, families, budget travelers, groups of friends pooling their money, you create atmosphere. You create noise, movement, excitement. That energy is contagious. It makes everyone spend more. You lose that, and even if you're making the same money, it feels hollow.
So in your opinion, are we at a tipping point here? Like can the Strip survive long-term with this fewer but richer model?
Look, I don't have a crystal ball, but based on the trends I saw before I retired and what I still hear from people I trust, I think they're playing a dangerous game. High rollers are fickle. They can go to Macau, Singapore, Monte Carlo tomorrow if they feel like they're getting a better deal. Meanwhile, the middle class, the lifeblood of Vegas for decades, they're already walking away. Once you lose them, good luck getting them back.
You know, I want to talk big picture now. A lot of people watching this aren't just frustrated about Vegas, they're frustrated about America. They'll say what's happening on the Strip is what's happening everywhere else. Prices go up, quality goes down, the average person gets squeezed out. Vegas used to be the ultimate playground for the middle class. Now it feels like the middle class is just dying out. So let me ask you straight. At what point do the execs stop chasing year-over-year growth? Stop trying to pump those numbers up quarter after quarter? Do they ever stop to think, hey, maybe we're part of the reason regular Americans are going broke?
Man, that's the million-dollar question. The truth? No, they don't stop. They can't stop. The whole system's built on growth. Every quarter, every year, you got shareholders, investors, board members breathing down your neck. If profits aren't bigger than last year, Wall Street punishes you. The CEO gets blamed, heads roll. So it's not even about what's right or what's sustainable. Execs aren't sitting there thinking about the middle class or the long-term soul of the city. They're thinking, what number do I need to hit this quarter so I keep my job? That's the game.
So you're saying it's like the death of the middle class is just collateral damage?
Yeah, in a way. It's not that anyone sat in a boardroom and said, let's kill off the middle class. It's more subtle. It's a bunch of little decisions. Raise fees here, cut comps there, charge $25 for a cocktail, $50 for parking. Individually, none of it feels like the end of the world. But stack them all up, and suddenly a middle-class family says, we can't afford to come to Vegas anymore. And look, Vegas is just a reflection of America right now. Everything's been financialized. Airlines, hotels, sports tickets, even groceries. Everyone's chasing short-term gains at the expense of the everyday person. Vegas just makes it louder, more obvious, because it used to be the one place where the average Joe could feel like a king for a weekend. Now, not so much.
So basically the dream was sold out and the people who bought it can't afford to keep it anymore.
Yeah, And that's what I mean when I say it feels like the beginning of the end of the Vegas I knew. Once you turn your back on the people who built you, the energy, the magic, it doesn't come back easily. You can replace bodies with high rollers, but you can't replace the soul they brought.
Listen, I know I've been pushing you a little hard here, but I appreciate you being real with us. Not everyone's willing to come on and pull the curtain back like this. So before we wrap, I want to give you the floor. Any final thoughts? Anything you want people to know about why you walked away or how you see Vegas now?
Yeah. Look, I'll be straight with you. Do I feel responsible? At least a little bit? Yeah, I do. I was part of that machine. I sat in those meetings. I signed off on things that, looking back, I wish I'd fought harder against. At the time, it didn't feel like we were tearing anything down. It just felt like we were keeping up with the competition, hitting targets, doing our jobs. But when I started to see the impact, the regulars not coming back, employees losing hours, the vibe on the strip changing, that's when it hit me. And honestly, that's one of the big reasons I retired early. I didn't want to spend the rest of my career squeezing people dry and pretending it was progress. I'd rather walk away with some regrets and stay in it until I didn't recognize myself anymore. I still love Vegas. I always love it. But I also know the Vegas I loved is slipping away. And maybe stepping aside was my way of saying, enough. I couldn't stop the tide, but I could at least stop contributing to it.
Man, that's heavy. And I respect the honesty. I think a lot of people watching will respect it too. So thank you. Not just for the stories, but for owning up to your part in it. That takes balls.
Thanks. Like I said, I've got love for this city. Always will. I just hope somebody, someday, figures out how to bring back that magic for the average folks again. 'Cause without them, Vegas ain't Vegas.
And on that note, we'll wrap it there. Big thanks to my friend here for pulling back the curtain and giving us an inside look. And hey, whether you agree, disagree, or have your own Vegas story to share, drop it in the comments. I think this is a conversation worth having.
Thanks so much for tuning in. This is the first time I've done a recorded interview of anyone here on this channel. It's actually something I've done quite a few times off mic and then presenting the summary of what they had to say on some of the stories I tell in other Las Vegas Confessions videos. But this is the first time actually recording it. Let me know if you like this kind of format, and I'll be sure to record these interviews in the future rather than just retelling them afterward. Now, let me give some of my closing thoughts after this conversation. Man, I gotta be honest with you guys. Sitting down with him today was heavier than I expected. I've known this guy for years. We go way back. And hearing him admit, in his own words, that yeah, maybe they pushed too hard. Maybe they lost sight of the people who actually made Vegas what it was. It kind of hit me. I could tell he feels guilty about it. And you know what? I believe him. He's not the villain here, but he was part of a machine that changed the Strip forever. And now that he's retired, maybe he finally has the space to say out loud what a lot of us have been thinking. Vegas isn't gone, but it's not the Vegas we grew up loving. And the truth is, maybe the execs didn't kill it on purpose, but they sure as hell didn't do much to save it either. I have no idea what the answer is to fix Vegas and bring it back to its glory days, but I still have hope that it can come back one day. Anyway, that's all I have for today. See you next time.